So Hala, big bank earnings start tomorrow, Friday morning, bright and early with JPMorgan. I think two words are going to be on everyone's mind, London whale. What's going on with those trading losses? What are we expecting tomorrow morning from JPMorgan?
Well, it'll be interesting because for the first time, I mean, JPMorgan usually sets a big precedent for how banking is going, and everyone's nervous about JPMorgan because there have been conflicting reports about how much of that bad trade they've actually unwound. So I think that's what everyone will be looking for, details on where that trade stands.
And now when they first announced the trade, Jamie Dimon, the CEO, said they were going to be economic about it. They weren't going to rush just to dump everything. Everyone knew they had to get out of this trade, so certainly some market players could move against them.
Right.
You mentioned different reports. What have we heard, and where do you come down? Where do you think this loss is?
I think it'll take the remainder of the year to get out of it. I think Dimon won't rush into it simply to satisfy, the regulators, investors. I think he's going to go slow and steady in unwinding this. I think the reports that have it unwound on the high end, I'm not so sure about that, but I think tomorrow that'll be definitely at the center of conversation.
All right, so let's move aside from those trading losses, which of course are going to be the primary thing people look at, but this is a bank that's still expected, at least the latest consensus I saw, they're still expected to earn money,
right.
Have a profitable quarter. Dimon did suspend stock buybacks, or the board did rather, but they haven't cut the dividend, they haven't suspended the dividend. From their profitability, what will you be looking for on that front in terms of performance for the quarter, aside from this trading mess?
Right. I think capital markets business, investment banking is across the board under pressure. That's not unique to JPMorgan. It's going to be across the board for all the big banks that have that business. I think another issue is their Tier 1 capital. I think they'll prove again, our fortress balance sheet, which Jamie likes to say over and over. That'll be something that he's definitely going to highlight to analysts plenty. But I think trading, again, volumes are down, and that's nothing new for our industry here.
Right. And we'll certainly be looking at what's going on in Europe. We'll be looking at what's going on in Asia, considering China's slowing down and how that's going to impact them. But let's take it back domestically for a minute, because there's another big bank reporting tomorrow, and that's Wells Fargo.
Right.
Clearly much more of a U.S.-centric bank. I know I read your cover story a few months ago, and the
right.
point was, they have very little exposure outside of the U.S.
Right.
What might they tell us in terms of what's going on here in this country for lending, what's going on in housing? What are you expecting from Wells?
What's interesting and kind of fun about Wells is they started reporting on the same day as JPMorgan, I think just as recently as last quarter. And it's fun to watch them because they are very U.S.-centric, and their CEO, John Stumpf, did tell us he loves the U.S. basket, and I think a big highlight for them, they're expecting a record quarter. So it's it's a very, the antithesis of JPMorgan and the other big banks. Another big quarter for them, and it's most likely going to come for their mortgages. They are the biggest U.S. mortgage originator in the country. Big banks like JPMorgan, Bank of America are straying away from it, and they are making money off of it.
All right, well, we'll see what comes down the pike tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Hal.
Yep.